Suicide Squad current season will be its last offline mode coming this week. Suicide Squad final season update launches in January of 2025. So I did my video the other day in regards to the new season coming out and Deathstroke being the new character that was going to be introduced. So, when I did that video, I was kind of giving the point how it seemed like they probably should have done that character a little bit sooner as far as the seasons went, as well as the fact that my thoughts on them actually doing that was because of the fact that they waited for that sale to go through where it was 95% off. So they probably wanted to take advantage in that regard, in the sense of, go ahead and put the game for such a cheap price and then be able to bring a character that the people would actually enjoy. But I think, again, personally, it probably would have been a little bit smarter for them to announce that character as like one of the first or second season characters, just because of the fact that, with the direction that they decided to go in, releasing the Joker that seemed like he was like a gay version of the Joker was really weird. The fact that they decided to have Mrs. Freeze instead of Mr. Freeze, so they gender swapped her and almost made her look like a lesbian, that was weird. And then the fact that they brought in I can't even remember the character's name, Deadshot's daughter, in and try to make her like a staple character in the game. It was just a bunch of weird directions that they went with. If they had just started going with like characters like Deadshot and bringing other villains in, regular villains, I feel like it would have been a little bit better in that sense. But at the end of the day, that's the direction that they decided to go in, and I don't know. I feel like this is kind of an indicator that it probably wasn't the smartest direction that they could have gone. So we'll check out this article, get into it a little bit. I'll give my thoughts as we go along, and yeah, so we'll go from there. So Rocksteady has confirmed that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's current season will be its last. The studio also announced today that the game will receive a long-promised offline mode this Tuesday, December 10th. And again, that's something that they should have probably done from the get-go. I really don't see the point of them doing that for a game that, yes, you can do co-op and you can play with other individuals online if you wanted to, but they should have just made it so that the game was offline altogether. The fact that they didn't go that direction is just really weird in my opinion. So the game's newest playable character, Deathstroke, will be available tomorrow when Season 4, Episode 7 is released. Season 4 will finish up with Episode 7, which is scheduled to release in January of 2025, and that will serve as the last seasonal episode for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Rocksteady said. While Season 4, Episode 8 will mark the final battle against Brainiac, all online features will continue to be available, so you'll still be able to enjoy co-op with friends as well as all previous seasonal/episodic content. You'll also have the option to play the game via the new offline mode, which allows access to the main story, campaign, and all post-launch seasonal gameplay content without an internet connection. Players will need to create a new offline mode profile, which can be done by copying an existing online mode profile to make a brand new one by starting the game from scratch. And see, that's a weird thing as well, is the fact that you have to kind of create a new, like, profile for it altogether. I wonder if that was just one of those situations they couldn't really figure out how to keep it so that you can do online mode and offline kind of in the same vein. So they just had it where it was like, what, we're just going to change it so that you can, what I mean, switch it to the other profile. So the fact that you have to kind of do that and go in that direction, I think is weird. And I'm a little bit curious as well, because I was reading some other articles about it and none of them really kind of mentioned it. If you were playing offline and you wanted to go back to playing online, do you just do another copy of that file, or do you have to kind of continue on from where you left off in the online mode? So it's a little bit weird, the direction that they decided to go with in that sense as well. So players will be able to switch between online and offline profiles with progression made in either one, not carrying over to the other. See, so that's what I'm saying. Like if it's one of those things, if you're playing offline, you have to copy it again and then play online, which I don't know. That's a little bit strange, but more than likely that's due to the fact that they probably didn't anticipate this game actually going offline. They probably were thinking that they were just going to keep it as an online mode for the rest of its lifespan, but probably had a lot of negative reviews from fans and people that just, weren't too happy with that they decided to go in that direction, as well as the fact that there's got to be, people out there that have a PS5 that probably have no really interest in playing any online games or anything like that. You know, they're probably not really competitive players, or they don't have any games that they personally play that really makes them feel like they need to play online, kind of a thing. So, as the latest title from the studio behind the celebrated Batman Arkham franchise, Suicide Squad was one of the industry's most highly anticipated games. But enthusiasm for it seemingly waned during a protracted development cycle, which included some underwhelming pre release showings and a backlash to its live service elements. And again, it's completely understandable at that point, because I mentioned it before. Where I was watching an individual play this online. His name was Mauler, so I'd watched him actually do like some live streams of it, him playing the game and everything. And there was multiple times where I was watching him play, and the game would just crash on him. He would be in the middle of doing like a mission or just kind of going to the next part of the game, and the error message would pop up: your internet connection is down, kind of a thing. Need to reconnect. So he and it got to the point too where he would, it happened so many times that you could just hear the frustration in his voice. He doesn't have like any face or anything that he would show as he'd play. It'd just be his voice that would be in the background. So just through that alone, you can hear how annoying it got to him, and how annoying it seemed as a viewer. You know what I mean? Thinking to yourself like, man, if I was playing this game and this kept happening to me, I'd start to get kind of pissed, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? So just the fact that that was such an integral part of the game was just kind of ignorant on their part. So, following several delays, it was released in February to a mixed critical reception and proved to be a commercial failure, with publisher Warner taking a 200 million loss on the game, which is fucking insane when you think about it. $200 million that they lost because of this game being a flop, because they decided to go in the direction that they went, which wasn't smart at all. So, Suicide Squad was heavily discounted on all platforms over Black Friday, most notably on Steam, where the PC version was available for just $3.49, 95% off, while the digital deluxe edition was priced at $4.99. So, it's pretty funny too, because I showed it in my last video where I was talking about Destro coming through. They do show the Steam charts here, and you definitely see a spike in sales, more than likely because of that 95% off rate. But as you can see here, the game is slowly dwindling back down. Now, of course, you wouldn't expect the game to, what I mean, stay really high on the charts forever, especially with how many complaints there were about it. But the fact that it's going down again so soon, I feel like that's just a clear indicator of, what how the game is as a whole. And I had seen on one of the articles this comment here by this individual, Kevin, and I gotta say, I agree with it. So he says, yes and no. Yes, in that the focus on the campaign story and seasonal story content likely means much of the live service elements that made the game such a slog and a chore is likely gone. However, you still have to remember that this is still the game that was released back in January of 2024. If you had an issue with the story, characters, gameplay, world, etc., the offline mode isn't going to alleviate any of those worries, which I agree with 100%. If you take the offline mode off of the feature of it originally, that's not going to change the fact that there were so many other aspects of the game that just rubbed people the wrong way. Like they said, from the story, which didn't seem like it was really that good considering you're killing the Justice League, The characters, which they decided to go in these weird directions with the DLC characters, as well as the fact that they decided to do things like have Harley Quinn kill off Batman. The gameplay, which I heard was okay, but it got really repetitive, and then the world itself, where it just the direction they decided to go with Brainiac and everything like that, it just didn't seem like it was probably the best storyline direction that they could have went with that type of world. So I don't know. Just hearing all of this stuff, I'm like, it's unfortunate that that's the case, because DC Comics and the Batman series, it is a beautiful series, as well as having different characters in it like Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern. Like, these are badass superheroes. So hearing that they decided to go in this direction and just kind of do these weird changes to them, it's just unfortunate, especially considering that this is all coming from Warner Brothers themselves, who own the properties of these. Like, you'd figure they'd kind of realize, like, hey, we got to be smart about this, and we got to show these characters a lot of love and support, and show justice to them in a way that the fans can appreciate. But at the end of the day, it is their property. They get to do what they want. If they want to run it into the ground, that's on them. So those are my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.